Hi, getting through a breakup is incredibly painful and it can feel like the pain is never ever going to end. There is so much that goes into the process of a breakup that it's really no wonder that it's a complicated process sometimes and we just try to bypass it altogether and just move on. Hi, my name's Olivia. I am passionate about helping you understand what relational trauma is so that you can address it, heal, overcome, and ultimately move on with your life. So today is all about how to deal with the disappointment of a breakup. You can find all of this in my book, I Can't Believe How Much It Hurts. It's available on Amazon. I'll leave the link. So this is chapter 5, and it's all about how to handle the disappointment and disappointments that come from a breakup. So it's really not just one disappointment, and there's probably a few, if not many, disappointments that led up to the breakup. Sometimes it's a disappointment in the person, sometimes it's a disappointment in ourselves. So we're going to kind of break apart what a disappointment is and how to kind of look at it, address it, so that we can be sure we're moving on in a healthy way. And it actually really starts to feel kind of good once we just start to deal with the pain of the disappointment. So jumping right into pain. There is pain that we experience in a breakup, and it could be a couple of reasons, but 2 reasons we're going to look at today. Sometimes it's the pain you feel from what was good, and we're going to call that pain tenderness. So you can have the pain. It's kind of like, when you watch a movie where you just can't, like Seabiscuit. If you've ever seen Seabiscuit, you can't just help but cry and it just pulls at your heartstrings. That's like a good pain, but it still hurts. That's tenderness. It's tender. Whereas in a breakup, you could also experience pain from sadness. So sometimes the sadness can come from the neglect we experienced, from the shame we experienced, from feeling like we disappointed ourselves or let ourselves down, or the times that we were let down, or if there was abuse, right? When you start to think of some of those things and it hurts, that's sadness. So we really want to separate what's tender pain and what is from sadness pain. So looking more at where the tender pain comes from. So some of these come from page 23. Again, can't believe how much this hurts. So it's looking at, is there anything ever going to compare to this again? When you think about that, you really could see that sort of as sadness, but it's more tender because chances are you're attaching to a wonderful memory or a part where you feel like it was me and this person against the world, or I never felt this way before. I had so much hope going into this, and this started off so well. When you think about those things that keep you hooked and keep you thinking of how wonderful it was, that is the tender pain. So it's good to write about that. Sometimes it's wondering, did it mean what it meant to them, or did it mean to them what it meant to me? And am I ever going to feel this way about someone else again? And if I feel this way about someone else, does that mean that this wasn't even real? Does it mean that the next one's not going to be real? What about my ex? What if they moved on and they're feeling this way about someone else? Does that mean that they never really cared about me? So we kind of have some of these confusing questions when we're trying to get through the disappointment of a breakup. Because really, when you're thinking about a disappointment, it signifies like the end of an event or the end of a possibility. And that's where we're feeling disappointed because it wasn't that. So thinking of those tender things. If we move on to sadness, it's really thinking of the pain and that came from the neglect, or the pain that came from, hopefully not, but if it did, from abuse, or the pain of just having to accept of what's never going to be. It's the sadness that comes from the disappointment of the relationship. So here's a couple of questions that you could write about. Looking at, what did you give up or compromise, if you did, in the relationship? So oftentimes in trying to have a life with another person or relate with another person, there are things that we're going to have to compromise on. And we always have like those lines or those deal breakers. And sometimes in an effort to make it work, we end up crossing those lines. And then we feel really shameful for it, whether we're letting go of our own morals or our own values in an effort to try to make something work. And when it's done, we can have a lot of sadness over what we gave up. Have a lot of regret, which that pain makes us feel sad. So write about that. If you can think about anything that you might have compromised. It could also be If you felt like you abandoned yourself in the relationship, you could write about that. If you felt like they abandoned you, you could write about that. You know, especially if you were in a romantic relationship with someone you used to be friends with, and maybe they betrayed you, that's going to be very painful, and that's going to make us really sad, reflecting on, wow, how could you do this? So if you're feeling any of that, you can write about it. So just thinking about any of the sadness you experience now and the pain, the more you can write about the events that happened that are causing the sadness, and the more you can acknowledge your sadness, the more it's going to allow you to move on. And the same with the tenderness. Maybe you are feeling the pain from the tenderness and you don't want to let that person go. You could write about that. If that's just being honest of where you're at, it's better to just acknowledge it and allow yourself to feel that for a period of time. So again, because this isn't therapy, you really want to be mindful. If it's feeling overwhelming, you can always stop. And I recommend putting parameters around when you do these exercises and giving yourself a time limit. And when you're done, you're done. Put it on the shelf and go on with your day. And when you want to do more work, you pull it back out and you work on it. But if it's ever too overwhelming, then you want to seek help from a professional in your area, right? Because this is not therapy. And so if it's like, I cannot eat, I can't sleep, I can't pull it together, I can't go to work, those are the times you would really want to seek help from a professional in your area. But if you're functioning for the most part, but you're just struggling to let go, these are exercises that you can do. So being mindful, we're going to have the pain from the disappointment, and sometimes that pain is tender pain, sometimes that pain is sadness, but all in all, it all stems from disappointment. So if you like this and you want more, you can grab the book, or there is a full course on Relational Trauma 101. I will link the playlist to the other videos that are in this series of I can't believe how much this hurts. Also, I will put up another video at the end that you can go and watch so that you can continue doing some work and trying to get through this breakup with as much success and peace, and probably for most of us as fast as we can, but sometimes it just takes what it takes. So take good care. I'm wishing you all the best with your breakup, and I'll see you in the next one.